A lovely afternoon to you. Welcome to Nationwide. We are live in Abuja. I am Ogochkuka Ona. President Bola Tinubu calls for a total rephase in the global financial architecture of Africa's mineral resources, aims to empower African nations to finance their mineral sector and assert their influence in global supply chains. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, the President made a call at the second Africa Minerals Strategy Group high-level roundtable on critical minerals development in Africa, held on the margins of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
A meeting for the collective action to bring Africa's mineral economy to reality for the benefit of the continent, pledging Nigeria's commitment towards catalyzing a mineral-led renaissance to unlock Africa's mineral economic future.
We must take the bull by the horns in financing our future. Never again shall we wait for capital to trickle in. With sovereign funds, blended vehicles and innovation tools like the Africa Mineral Token, Africa shall finance Africa. To safeguard this sovereignty, we must get our cobalt, lithium, graphite, gold, and rare earths, not as fragmented states, but as one continental bloc, wielding collective power in global supply chains.
He commended Nigeria's Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, who chairs the event, and the Secretary General, Moses Michael of Uganda, for guiding Africa towards a path of productivity and pride.
There are many opportunities for increased cooperation between the EU and Africa, especially as we engage with our private sector to bring sustainable investments on the ground.
There is a sense of insecurity in our world where countries are rearming. What will fuel? What are the components needed for this production? They are the minerals that Africa has. The strategic nature of this mineral is so explosive in terms of what the world needs that Africa needs to be careful in terms of how it positions to make the most of these resources for its people.
Dele Alake called for cohesion amongst African nations, saying with determined and focused partnership in the mineral sector, Africa will harness in all ramifications the total benefit of a sustained and harmonized mineral sector. Meanwhile, Vice President Kashim Shettima also held a roundtable hosted by the Business Council for International Understanding in partnership with the flour mills of Nigeria and other conglomerates, urging investors to come to Nigeria as there had never been a time like now to invest, given the enabling environment and the ease of doing business. Similarly, on the side events of the UNGA 80th session, Vice President Kashim Shettima held a bilateral meeting with the Chancellor of the Republic of Austria, Christian Stocker, at the UN headquarters in New York, where both countries agreed to forge new ties and explore new ways of deepening their relationships. From New York, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
And also getting more information on the roundtable hosted by the Business Council for International Understanding with the theme, Risk, Reform, Return. Vice President Kashim Shettima showcased Nigeria's $200 billion energy transition opportunities across the country. That was at a roundtable hosted by the Business Council for International Affairs. All right, let's rejoin State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila for the details.
Highlighting Nigeria's sovereign rating by platforms implies the country is positioned as the natural hub for the African Continental Free Trade Area's $3.4 trillion market.
Nigeria offers a vista of opportunities.
Vice President Kashim Shettima seized the moment to draw the attention of investors worldwide to the multi-billion economic reset across Nigeria as embodied by President Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda. The Vice President told the global audience that since mid-2023, under President Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda, Nigeria has embarked on one of the boldest economic resets in its history.
In President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you have a friend, you have an ally who speaks your language, the language of commerce, who understands the dynamics of modern business, who was educated here in the United States. And he's a man of courage and conviction. Nobody was willing to bite the bullet. Nobody was willing to take risk. In our first day in office, he took the greatest gamble that any Nigerian leader had ever taken in the past 50 years. It wasn't part of his speech. It was at the inauguration ceremony that he announced the withdrawal of fuel subsidy.
On energy, the Vice President disclosed that with the 210 trillion cubic feet of gas reserves and one of the highest solar irradiation levels in Africa, Nigeria offers a $200 billion energy transition opportunity.
Since mid-2023, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda,
the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment said the impact of President Tinubu's administration's reform are already visible. GDP growth is accelerating, external reserves are strengthening, inflation is moderating, and investment commitment rebounding.
Building on this momentum, Nigeria has introduced a new tax act to modernize and streamline our fiscal regime. But tax is just one part of a much larger picture. We have built a 4-pillar incentive framework designed to reduce investor risk, accelerate cash returns, and make Nigeria one of the most competitive destinations for capital in the global south.
Vice President Kashim Shettima, representing President Bola Tinubu, was at the United Nations General Assembly Hall for the high-level meeting commemorating the 80th anniversary of the United Nations General Assembly. The event featured a 3-minute address by President Tinubu, during which he celebrated the spirit and successes of the United Nations, praising its legacy of peace, protection of human dignity, and entrenchment of development goals. From New York, Abraham Jubrila, NTA News.
Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has so far raised a sum of 20.5 billion naira for the completion of the National Library under the Oluremi at 65 Education Trust Fund. She announced the amount during her luncheon with the media at the banquet hall of the presidential villa.
So we have 20,456,188,924.93 kobo, and it's still growing. Trust me, it is still growing.
She said the fund was raised through the contributions of notable Nigerians who answered a call to generate funds towards the completion of the national monument using her 65th birthday celebration, while appreciating those who donated towards the cause. The First Lady says her motivation for undertaking to raise the fund is not political, but towards helping to build the country piece by piece.
That is why if we take our baby steps in well-doing, before long things will begin to shape up for our beloved nation. We all have to rise up, play our parts in the building process. A grain of sand and a little drop of water makes a mighty ocean.
The Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, has cut its benchmark monetary policy rate by 50 basis points to 27%, maintaining its firm stance against inflationary pressures in the economy. In line with this, the asymmetric corridor around the MPR was retained at plus 250 and minus 250 basis points, signaling the committee's continued preference for tight monetary conditions to anchor inflation expectations. On prudential ratios, the cash reserve ratio, CRR, remains at 45% for commercial banks and 16% for merchant banks, reflecting the bank's commitment to mopping up excess liquidity in the system. The liquidity ratio was also held steady at 30%, further tightening financial system conditions. The committee reiterated its resolve to balance price stability with financial system soundness, noting that while inflation has shown signs of moderation, sustaining policy consistency remains crucial for long-term stability. The shortage of apprentices in skilled crafts is becoming an issue of serious concern as youths who are expected to embrace various trades for self-development are not showing interest in that area of economic development and venture. In this next report, Yemi Dalemo examines this trend and seeks solution to the dearth of apprenticeship in most skilled craft and vocational businesses in Ogun State.
This concerning trend of lack of apprentices is currently affecting Nigeria's skilled trade sector, as there is a noticeable lack of young apprentices in various skills and trades. These artisans are now abandoning their skills for quicker and more lucrative opportunities, creating vacuum in artisanal activities. This development now threatens the continued existence of artisan services, as masters in the trade now have no one to pass down the knowledge to, while the few ones still in the trade now charge excessively for their services.
Everybody wants quick income, quick money. So to learn a craft work for 4-5 years, after 5 years, serve your master for about 1 year or 2 before making money is a long process.
Most of the youths, they are not ready to hustle, to do something that will inconvenience them to earn something, to earn money.
Some youths explain that instead of apprenticeship, they prefer to embark on ventures that instantly provide resources for their personal needs.
Though handwork is also important and essential, but I think the school life is the best.
This is something that will last long within them, and it's something that they can use to boost their own lifestyle generally.
Observers say the solution to this growing problem is a multifaceted approach, which includes promoting the value of vocational training, improving the quality and accessibility of apprenticeships, and raising awareness about the diverse career paths available in skilled crafts. In Abuja, Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
All right, joining us now from Abuja is Yemi Dalemo for more on this subject matter. Yes, can we get to Yemi? Yes, Yemi, what's the update in addition to what we just saw in your report?
Thank you, Ogochukwu, for joining us in Abuja. We are at the Adire Mall in Itoku area of Abuja. This place is a cluster of those engaged in tie and dye business. Just like we have identified that lack of the dearth of apprenticeship affects other trades, it's also affecting traders and producers of fabrics in this market. And we've been able to identify the reason why some of our youths are not willing again to sit down under a master for 3-4 years to learn a skill, because they need to make it on time and they need to meet their personal needs. But one thing that is very clear is that there are so many opportunities in our youth if they are able to be patient enough to learn a trade or a skill. It will not only provide employment for them, it will raise the GDP of our country, and it will also make them to be self-reliant. Nowadays, we know that white-collar jobs are no longer there. So there is a need for our youth to have a second address. But now the problem lies in the fact that many of our youth are not willing to pay that price or the sacrifice. For instance, let me tell you that just opposite us in Itoku here, we went to the blacksmithing hub. That place used to be full of about 100 men and women engaged in this business. But while we got there, I tell you that we only have 3 of them remaining, and their ages are between 75 and 78. Now tell me, what is going to happen in the next 10 years to that kind of business, since our youth are no longer interested in this? What we need now to do is, like we just said in that report, that a multifaceted approach is needed to actually talk to our youth, particularly from the first line of socialization, which is the family. The parents has a lot of work to do to encourage their children on the proper way they need to live their lives. They need to give them something apart from the certificates. They need to have something that they are doing with their hands that will be able to make them sufficient. If that certificate is not yet ready giving them work, then they'll have something to do and they will not go into crimes. Also, the government also needs to provide more incentives. Thank God for the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is making several efforts in the vocational education nowadays, that people are actually interested in that. More of this still needs to be done so that our youth will know that there is dignity in labor, and they know that there is need for them to make sacrifice before they can actually enjoy in life.
Yemi, thank you very much. You said it all. All hands must be on deck.
Thank you.
From all angles.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much for that wonderful update. All right. Moving on now. In an effort to sanitize the activities of scrap and waste dealers, the Niger State government has mandated all scrap dealers to register under a recognized body and prohibits children under the age of 18 from metal, rubber, and scrap scavenging. Hussein Amusa reports that the directive also seeks to protect public and private property across the 25 local government areas of the state.
In northern Nigeria, Niger State inclusive, scavenging for waste metal and rubber has become a vital means of survival for thousands, playing a crucial role in the informal waste management sector by reducing environmental pollution. However, the trade is marred by negative vices as some miscreants vandalize and steal private and public property.
You see that this place is empty. We have a very big iron that is there before. They are the one that remove it. Yesterday when I get back home, I realized some of our things in the compound, it has been moved.
The way they are, how many they are now, you can easily keep your something that is iron in front of your house. They will take it away. We are finding it difficult. The criminality is getting higher.
To curb these criminal activities and sanitize the scrap industry, the Niger State government organized a stakeholders meeting.
The Niger State Directorate for Scraps has been mandated to register all scrap dealers in Niger State to give them license to operate. And we have all agreed anybody found with any material belonging to the public or private should be dealt with decisively.
Resolutions reached at the end of the meeting seeks to monitor activities of the scrap dealers in order to reduce vandalism of public and private infrastructure. Emena Hussein Musa, NTA News.
All right, now we are now being joined by Hussein Musa to give us more updates on efforts being put in place to address this situation. All right, Hussein, what are the efforts? Tell us.
Some of the resolutions reached at the end of the meeting are mandatory registration of scrap and metal dealers in Niger State, provided with a template that will link their BVN and NIN. The dealers are also expected to provide a guarantor. The state government has also prohibited children below the age of 18 from participating in any activity that has to do with scavenging. To ensure that these resolutions are enforced. A 70-member committee has been constituted across the 25 local government area of the state to collaborate with security operatives and ensure that public and private property are protected from vandalism and theft.
All right, thank you very much, Husseina. I was going to ask you if the scrap dealers were posing any security threat. All right, no problem about that. So maybe we'll get an update later on. All right, similarly, the Director General of the National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency, NESRA, Professor Innocent Bariko, has threatened to revoke the operational licenses of recycling facilities that refuse to comply with agreed protocol for remediation of Ogijo community in Ogun State. Professor Bariko gave the warning on Monday during a meeting with recyclers whose facilities were sealed in a recent clampdown on recalcitrant facilities in the southwest zone of the country. 9 facilities operating in the battery recycling sector in Ogijo were sealed for causing environmental pollution in the community through poor slag management, manual battery breaking, uncontrolled lead dust emissions, lack of workers' health surveillance, among others. He told the recyclers that the administration of President Bola Tinubu remains committed to ensuring that Nigerians live in healthy environments, warning that time is running out for errant facilities. Professor Bariko further directed that the operators commit to addressing facility-specific environmental operational concerns, observe the penalties for indiscriminate dumping of refuse, and of course non-compliance, and they should take steps towards adopting cleaner technologies. All right, the news will now continue from our Lagos Network Center, and Hingino is our guide.
And welcome to Lagos. A nationwide sensitization program on Nigeria's whistleblowing policy aimed at promoting transparency, accountability and good governance has been launched by the Federal Ministry of Finance in Lagos. Adejoke Odeka has the report.
The sensitization program on the whistleblowing policy brought together government officials, anti-corruption agencies, private sector representatives and other stakeholders to raise public awareness and strengthen the policy's effectiveness. The federal government, through the Presidential Initiative on Continuous Audit, PICA, Nigeria's Federal Ministry of Finance, say the sensitization program is to combat corruption and through its whistleblowing and special investigation unit seeks to enlighten Nigerians on the power of whistleblowing.
Everybody is a detective. When you see something, say something. And those who are in position to carry out the necessary to stop them, we do it.
We need help. This purpose of, defeating corruption cannot be fought alone.
Representatives of the Lagos State Governor and the Inspector General of Police highlighted the state's commitment to transparency through whistleblowing education and measures to protect whistleblowers.
Use the available platform to report any infractions and to report to the government what they feel that the government is not doing properly.
When they want to blow the whistle or give an intelligence to the police, it shouldn't be information they have discussed with their family member, they have discussed with friends, and they have discussed with their co-worker in the office, because it's certainly going to leak and may put their life in jeopardy.
The whistleblowing initiative promotes accountability and transparency by collaborating with institutions to encourage safe reporting of corruption, embodying the ethos of if you see something, say something. In Lagos, Adejoke Odeka, NTA News.
Sons and daughters of Ijesha in Osun State recently converged on Lagos to celebrate their rich heritage and promote their history, documented in a book titled The History of Ijesha Towns and Communities, The People, Land and Heritage, written by the Ijesha Society. Correspondent reports that the gathering underscores the significance of preserving cultural identity and communal history. This 354-page book, titled The History of Ijesha Towns and Communities, The People, Land, and Heritage, mirrors the culture of Ijesha people and serves as a guide for future generations. It contains stories of their struggles, triumphs, and contributions to Yoruba land and the nation at large.
It exposes the cultural harmony, linguistic unity, and visibly unique structure and the people of Ijesha themselves, which distinguish them from other Yoruba subgroups.
It is important for us as forward-looking people to encourage the formation of more societies while we make the best use of the existing ones.
The public presentation of the book coincided with the 77th birthday of the revered King of Ijesha, His Imperial Majesty, Owa Clement Adesui Hasrop. For the king, it serves as another opportunity to promote the cause of Ijesha land.
I thank God for allowing me to see today, and I appreciate the love Ijesha people have for me.
We will live to celebrate many more birthdays like this. His reign will be a successful one, a peaceful one.
Since he assumed office about 9 months ago, it has been awesome.
As the sons and daughters of Ijesha land celebrate their king through the literary work, they believe the book will showcase to the world their unique strength. Those are the reports from Lagos. Nationwide continues in Kaduna after the break.
Joining us here in Kaduna, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluede, has called on the soon-to-be commissioned cadets to embrace innovation and uphold the highest standards of accountability in the discharge of their duties. This was during the regimental dinner in Kaduna held in honor of cadets from the 72 regular course of the Nigerian Defense Academy. The report. It was a night of military tradition and honor as the Nigerian Defense Academy hosted dinner to cadets from the 72 regular combatant corps to Short Service Corps 48 Army, Direct Short Service Corps 33, as well as Branch Commission 2 of the Air Force. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluede, while congratulating the cadets, reminded them of the weight of the responsibility ahead.
It is expected that future warfare will be shaped by technological advancements characterized by artificial intelligence, unmanned systems, and cyber operations, amongst others. This means that you will need to adapt quickly, be technologically savvy, and innovative in all your interactions.
He noted that future warfare will be shaped by artificial intelligence and cyber operations, urging the cadets to stay ahead of the challenges. The passing out parade is scheduled for Saturday, 27 September. As part of efforts to minimize road accidents and ensure the safety of lives and property during the Ember months, the Federal Road Safety Corps Katsina State Command has flagged off a special patrol operation across major routes of the state. Slemon Kodogi completes the reports.
In the first half of 2025, the Federal Road Safety Corps Katsina Sector Command recorded 45 road crashes involving 631 individuals, leading to 75 deaths and 573 rescued persons. In response, the Corps has intensified operations with a special enforcement initiative to boost intelligence gathering and traffic law enforcement, particularly during the high-risk Ember months and beyond. Since the commencement of the operation, several vehicles have been impounded for offenses ranging from expired licenses, overloading of goods and passengers, and illegal use of government plate numbers.
Nobody is above the law. Everybody must be subjected to the law of the land. Whoever that is found guilty of these traffic offenses should be given the appropriate fine to pay.
The sector commander, Maxwell Ladi Katingo, further explained that the operation is part of a broader strategy to sanitize the roads, enhance public safety, and ensure full compliance of traffic regulations. Some of the offenders appeal for leniency. The corps is expecting motorists to drive responsibly, adhere to traffic laws, and work collectively towards creating a safer routes for all. In Katsina, Suleiman Kodogi, NTN News.
That's our contributions from this end nationwide continues in our Abuja studio. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Muhammad. And now, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, representing Kogi Central, has gained access to our office after 6 months of suspension. This is following the unsealing of our office this Tuesday by the Deputy Director of Sergeant at Arms at the National Assembly, Alabi Adedeji. Senator Natasha says she is happy to return to our office to carry out her legitimate duties as Senator representing Kogi Central.
As for me, I'm glad to be here, and even though we have been illegally suspended, no day have I hesitated in effectively carrying out my duties as a senator of Kogi Central to the very best of my capacity.
Assembly correspondent Issa Mohammed reports that there is no official statement from the leadership of the National Assembly on the position of the suspension and her return to legislative duties, which is still a matter of court litigations. In the meantime, the two chambers of the National Assembly have rescheduled resumption of plenary from today, Tuesday 23rd September 2025 to Tuesday 7th October 2025. A statement from the clerk to the National Assembly, Kamoru Ugunlana, explains that the shift is as directed by both chambers and regrets inconveniences caused by the postponement. The statement adds that committee activities would, however, continue. The 6th ECOWAS Parliament's second extraordinary session opens in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, with renewed vigor to exploit opportunities provided by artificial intelligence to boost parliamentary efficiency in the sub-region. ECOWAS Parliament correspondent Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
With the theme, Harnessing Artificial Intelligence for Parliamentary Efficiency, Ethical Governance and Development, members of the Parliament rallied to intensify efforts on the use of AI for a digitally inclusive and empowered region. Speaker Memunut Ibrahim said, AI as a global competitive tool, legislators within the region must look inward to utilize it by providing a better regulatory framework.
Gérer avec efficience et transparence.
If applied responsibly, it can enhance research, streamline processes, improve oversight, and deepen citizen engagement.
It is worth noting that Nigeria's pivotal role in the life of ECOWAS cannot be overstated. Since the founding of our community, Nigeria has consistently provided leadership, resources, and solidarity to advance the noble ideas of integration and prosperity for our region.
Governor Fubara, who was represented, and other speakers stressed the importance of checkmating the use of AI in parliamentary system, highlighting the security and socio-economic implications.
As lawmakers, the democratic institutions tackle with the exponential advancement of AI technologies. We face what I term the governance paradox of acceleration.
We believe that there's so much more to learn from you so that we can improve on what we're also doing here at the sub-national level.
The session is to last for 6 days. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
The Sultan of Sokoto and President General of the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, has declared Tuesday, 23rd September 2025 as the first day of Rabiu Asani 1447 after Hijrah. This is contained in a statement signed by the chairman of the Advisory Committee of Religious Affairs, Sultanate Council, Sokoto, Professor Sambo Wali Junaidu, who is also the Wazir in Sokoto. All right, Fatima Hassan is in our Makudi Network Center for more reports.
Thanks for joining us in Makurdi. The Benue State Governor, Hyacinth Alia, has pledged his administration's continued support for soya beans and rice production, going by the comparative advantage to align with the federal government's national soya beans expansion strategy. The governor reaffirmed this when he formally launched the 2025 fertilizer distribution program in the state. Blessing Omeche Ebute has details.
While flagging off the 2025 fertilizer distribution process in Benue State, Governor Hyacinth Alia explained that the late flag-off was as a result of investigations into fraudulent practices by some suppliers during the 2025 season, including delivery of substandard products and round-tripping. He assured their new contractors that over 5 billion naira will be fully settled by the end of October. The governor pointed out that under the 2025 intervention, government has procured 9,000 metric tons of fertilizers valued at 16.8 billion naira, of which the state government is providing an 8.1 billion naira subsidy, making fertilizers available to farmers at 22,500 naira per bag.
Going forward, we're going to do very differently. Remember, we cannot be doing same things all the times expecting a different result. And this is why, instead of bringing this fertilizer business to outsiders to create capital flight, we chose to go with an industrialist from within us.
Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Security, Benjamin Ashave, commended Governor Alia's investment in subsidized farm inputs, describing it as a boost to Benue's food security.
The 2025 launch of farm inputs may appear late, but in essence, it is very much useful, as the state government is encouraging massive dry season farming to boost all year-round crop production.
Governor Alia also unveiled a new agricultural calendar to ensure timely distribution of inputs, as wet season supplies will henceforth be released between April and June, while dry season distributions will take place between November and January. In Makurdi, Blessing Omeche Ebute, NTA News.
The largest TV network in Africa has lived up to its responsibilities in effective media coverage, providing platforms for organizations to showcase their programs and policies, which has attracted many organizations and critical stakeholders to partner with them. The latest of such partnership is coming from the Benue State Rural Access Agricultural Marketing Project, RAMP, describing NTA as a key player in the media industry. State coordinator of RAMP gave the accolade when management of NTA Network Center Makurdi paid a courtesy visit. Masafan Dankaro reports.
The visit is for collaboration between the two organizations in the areas of information dissemination and publicizing programs and activities of the organization, which are carrying out projects and programs that have impacted on the rural dwellers. Zonal Director, NTA Network Center Makurdi, Asbe Akmodi, who commended the state coordinator for his impactful development, said, though the station is undergoing serious reforms at the moment, however, it will synergize with RAMP to showcase their activities to the public so as to boost confidence of the Benue people in the current administration of Governor Hyacinth Alia.
We can have a forum where we catalog in form of documentary all your achievements, your programs, and projections as to what you intend to achieve or added achievement.
Benue State Coordinator RAMP, Stephen Nubere, disclosed that RAMP has purchased over 2,000 electric motorcycles for distribution to rural farmers at subsidized rate, as well as construction of rural roads and culverts to ease movement of farm produce to urban centers. He described the visit by the management of NTA as timely, saying, NTA is a key player in the media industry and should be partnered with so as to project and create awareness of their activities.
If you now have a challenge of fixing a 50 kilowatt or let's say 20 kilowatt solar, tell us that you want 20 kilowatts this thing of by the time the 3 or 4 of us sit together, we should be able to put the the solar together for you. You understand?
The Benue State Coordinator RAMP immediately instructed his team to carry out an on-the-spot assessment of NTA's premises towards installation of solar power for the station. The coordinator also displayed one of the electric motorcycles purchased by RAMP for distribution to the people. In Makudi, Masifan Dankaro, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Makudi Nationwide. Continues with Ogochukuka in Abuja. After this timeout, stay tuned.
Still watching Nationwide and straight up to security matters. The Ministry of Defense says it is strengthening healthcare support for troops of the Nigerian Armed Forces and their families to further boost their morale in the ongoing internal security operations. This comes as the Defense Health Implementation Program, in partnership with the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, marks 20 years of operations in Nigeria. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
Troops of the Nigerian Armed Forces are deployed to protect the nation's territorial integrity, save lives and property. To sustain their health and combat readiness, the Ministry of Defense established the Health Implementation Program in 2005 in collaboration with the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. The goal is to provide world-class medical care for military personnel and their families, with focus on tackling infectious diseases and conducting regular medical research.
We have saved lives.
20 years on, officials say the program has grown into one of the most impactful health interventions within the Nigerian military.
This partnership, which has been established on the foundation of service, science, and sacrifice, has emerged as a symbol of military-to-military collaboration that enhances public health both within and beyond the military.
The health of our armed forces is inseparable from the security of our nation. When illness is prevented, detected early, and treated actively, units remain operational, missions stay on schedule, and national defense objectives are achieved without compromise.
It has recorded success in HIV/AIDS prevention and treatment, trained hundreds of military health professionals, and extended outreach to host communities.
We've provided free HIV testing to more than 500,000 Nigerians, and indeed initiated lifelong antiretroviral therapy for over 400 children and adults.
By working together, we can achieve far more than any single institution, nation, or individual could possibly accomplish alone.
As the Defense Ministry and Walter Reed Army mark 2 decades of partnership, stakeholders are advocating greater investment to scale up healthcare delivery for armed forces personnel. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And Ismail Musa also tells us that regional and state security experts have converged on the National Defense College Abuja to sharpen strategies, bridging the gap between policy and frontline operations to combat emerging security threats.
Nigeria is not an island to the wave of threats of banditry, terrorism, and other transborder crime. With evolving trends in every atom of challenge, the good news is that each atom of stress gets a corresponding trifling counter-reaction.
You can always not completely, absolutely solve crisis with war.
One among a sea of such was on the heel of a strategic level defense and strategic management course facilitated by the Center for Strategic Research and Studies, National Defense College. The goal is to develop strategic leaders and multiple strategies capable of addressing dynamic national and regional security challenges.
The idea is that people that are directing war and directing activity logistics to where wars are prosecuted, they have the strategic knowledge of saying, okay, with this kind of challenges, this is what we need. That's just the essence.
The evolving national security landscape is characterized by hybrid threats. These threats underscore the urgent need for collective action, collaborative responses, strong leadership, and innovative strategies in defense and security management.
The course also underscores the need for collective action to tackle emerging security challenges. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Still talking security, the journey towards a more accountable, responsive and inclusive police system in Nigeria has received another boost as the GS Foundation, in partnership with the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, unveiled a transformative initiative. Francis Form reports that the initiative also prioritizes responsibilities for female police officers.
At the heart of the program is a shared vision, building a police force that not only reinforces law and order, but also embodies fairness, inclusivity, and professionalism in line with global standards of democratic policing. The initiative features capacity-building workshops, mentorship programs, and leadership development tailored specifically for female officers. These interventions are designed to prepare women within the force to take up higher responsibilities, lead specialized units, and play active roles in shaping reforms within the institution.
You know, the Nigerian women police are very, very important. They are in a very strategic positions, and that is why if they enhance their capacity, it will be more beneficial to the Nigerian police.
We hope to apply all we have learned to be gender equal, to be polite as women.
This is the reason why we are able to give a special individual training for everybody to be more professionalized for the future and to be able to get higher positions.
With initiatives like this, the role of women in policing is set to expand from the margins to the mainstream, reinforcing the principle that effective policing in the 21st century is not just about the force, but about fairness, diversity, and accountability. Francis from NTA News.
And that's Nationwide today. We want to thank you so much for your time. Do have a good evening.